What happens when a government tests the limits of the human mind and loses control? No warning. No consent. No way out. This was not a theory. It actually happened. In the early years of the Cold War, fear shaped decisions. The world was divided. Trust was gone. Governments weren't just building weapons. They were searching for something far more powerful. Control over the human mind. What if you could erase memories? Rewrite behavior? Turn someone into a tool, without them ever knowing? That question led to one of the most controversial secret programs in history. A program that would go further than anyone expected. It began quietly. Hidden behind layers of secrecy. Funded without public knowledge. The goal was simple. Understand the mind. Control it. Use it. But how do you control something you barely understand? The answer: experimentation. And not in controlled environments. Not with willing participants. Ordinary people became test subjects. Many of them didn't even know it. Some were given substances without consent. Others were placed in extreme psychological conditions. Isolation. Fear. Manipulation. The methods were unpredictable. The results, even worse. One of the key tools used in these experiments was a powerful hallucinogenic substance. It altered perception, distorted reality, and broke down mental defenses. But here's the problem. The effects were not fully understood. Subjects experienced paranoia, anxiety, complete psychological collapse. And still, the experiments continued. In some cases, individuals were observed for hours, even days. Researchers took notes, measured reactions, pushed boundaries. But they weren't just studying behavior. They were testing how far the human mind could be pushed before it breaks. And then, something changed. The line between research and abuse disappeared. People weren't just subjects anymore. They were trapped inside something they couldn't escape. Some tried to speak out. Others couldn't remember what happened to them at all. And that's when things started to go wrong. Not just ethically, but operationally. The program became chaotic, unpredictable, dangerous, even to those running it. There were reports of extreme psychological damage, long-term trauma, lives permanently altered. But the biggest problem? Control was slipping. When you experiment with the human mind, you don't always get predictable results. And when things go wrong, you can't just undo the damage. Years later, fragments of the truth began to surface. Documents, testimonies, investigations. Many records had been destroyed. But not all of them. What remained painted a disturbing picture. A program that operated in secrecy, without oversight, without accountability. Experts who later studied the program described it as reckless. Not just scientifically flawed, but ethically indefensible. Some participants suffered long-term psychological effects. Others never fully recovered. And many questions remain unanswered. Why was it allowed to continue for so long? Who approved it? And how much was truly hidden? Here's the truth. This wasn't just a failed experiment. It was a warning. A reminder of what happens when power operates without limits, when curiosity overrides ethics, and when secrecy replaces accountability. Because once you cross that line, there's no going back. And the consequences? They don't just disappear. What do you think? Was this justified by fear, or was it something far worse? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more stories like this, real events, hidden histories, and untold truths, subscribe now. Because the next story might be even darker.